Hey everybody, this is Todd McFarlane here, creator of Spawn, co-creator of Venom, and you're tuned into Side Jams with the one, the only Brian Reisman.
Greetings, everyone. This is Brian Reisman, host of Side Jams, the show where we talk to musicians about their outside passions and their hobbies. And today we have a Star Wars roundtable. We have the lead guitarist of Judas Priest, who's also the co-founder of Elegant Weapons, who have a new album called Evolution coming out, Mr. Richie Faulkner.
Nice to see you, Brian. Thanks for having me, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to see you again. And he's the guitarist Within Temptation and the author of In Spotlight and Shadow, my road trip with Within Temptation. I've known him for a while too, Mr. Ruud Jolie.
Thank you for having me.
Did I get the pronunciation right? What's the actual Dutch pronunciation?
Ruud. But
Ruud.
no one is able to do that, so I always
Ruud.
tell Ruud
I got close.
with the r. And that's why I always tell Americans or English people to call me Nigel or Ian. That's usually a bit easier.
Nigel.
How
Nigel.
very British of you.
Yeah,
You guys have been friends for a long time, and I believe you actually bonded over Star Wars initially. Is that correct? That was one of the things that led to your friendship?
we did. We
Thinking about it, when was that tour with Lauren and Within Temptation? Was it like
you don't want to know, man.
it's 20 years
19,
ago?
19 years ago, 2007.
Isn't
Yeah,
that crazy?
it's ridiculous.
That's mad. So yeah, 20 years, Brian,
It's
we've known each
in
other.
yeah. And indeed we bonded over Star Wars because I remember Randy, who
Hmm.
was Randy Gregg, the bass player. He was walking around with his luggage, everything purple, and he had this Imperial cock symbol. And that's always a giveaway, that there's a Star Wars fan. And when I travel, I have the orange because orange is the Dutch color. I have the orange Imperial cock symbol on my backpack. And sometimes people, usually guys, hey, you're a Star Wars fan. So it's an instant recognizable thing, and that's great. And yeah, and then I learned that Richie is also a huge fan.
Are you still in the 501st?
I am. In fact, I had a new costume approved last week or 2 weeks ago. So I have a TK, which is a code name for Stormtrooper, for the people who don't know. And now I am also a TB, which means Biker Scout, Return of Jedi Biker Scout.
Wow.
And that costume is much more comfortable because you can actually sit down in it. So during a long Comic Con visit, it's very convenient to sit down. And there's a zipper, so you can also
You
pee.
can pee.
Yeah, you can
Ah,
pee.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
That's people have wondered that in a lot of these movies, like how do they pee? How do they do this? Like it looks cool on screen, and then you're like, wait, that's not practical.
it's
Yeah, it's
extremely
lunatic.
uncomfortable.
And for people who don't know, what's the 501st? Just so you can explain.
That's a very good question. The 501st is a global costuming club, only Empire or evil Empire characters, and you have to have this costume of high standards. So it needs to look as if you just came walking off a film set. So screen accurate. That's a term that is being used. And so yeah, and we have about more than 100 members in the Netherlands. Every country and every state has its outpost or garrison. So I'm a member of the Dutch garrison, which is a part of the 501st Legion, and every state in the US has its own garrison. And yeah, it's fun. It's nerds galore, nerds everywhere.
Now, no, Richie, which were you ever part of the 501st?
I wasn't. I'm ashamed to say I was never. The only costume I ever got, I've got a Vader costume and a Stormtrooper costume, but they're not like movie accurate and whatever. They're like Halloween costumes. They're pretty good. They're pretty decent if you're out on the town at Halloween, but they're not the same level as Rude. I don't think I'd get accepted into any garrison. That's like high level stuff. So hats off to Rude there, man. And did you have a Fett costume as well at one time?
I did. Oh yeah, I remember sending you pictures, but that one was so expensive and very, very uncomfortable to wear, and especially that jetpack on the
Mhm.
back of your back that was really expensive. And you walk around through all those people at these Comic Cons, and you're like, I hope nothing happens. And I noticed that I it's sitting in my attic for 364 days a year, and I was like, nah, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Is it
But the
heavy to
problem with the
wear?
Vader one, the problem
It's
with the
quite
Vader one
heavy.
out here in Nashville, it's usually hot around Halloween. So
Mm.
and so you bring it out on Halloween, you put the mask on, the big Vader mask, and you're walking around, and there's little kids around. Obviously, it's Halloween, and you can't see them, and it steams up and it fogs up, and it's about 1,000 degrees inside this fucking suit, and you're tripping over kids because kids are kind of scared of it, and they're right there, and you don't see them, and it's a mess. So again, it's the same thing. You wear it for about 15 minutes and it's comfortable, and then it steams up and gets hot, and you're tripping over kids. You become a liability. So you end up not wearing it. Like the same kind of thing as you.
Yeah, 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 indeed. Yeah.
What's your
So
costume, Brian? What Star Wars
Yeah,
costume
good
you got?
question.
I don't think I've ever done any actual Star Wars cosplay. The whole cosplay thing, for older Gen Xers, a lot of us are just surprised at how big this whole thing has blown up. I might have done a costume as a kid, but it would have been like, one of those whatever little things you wear.
I don't know what you think, Rude, but at this time, I mean, Star Wars blew up. It's a cultural phenomenon, but it's a weird time at the moment for Star Wars. I mean, especially with my generation, it's kind of a bit meh at the moment. Don't really like original trilogy, fantastic. Rogue One, great. Some of the animated stuff, people behind that, but others like Solo and the sequel, what the seven, eight, and nine is it? Everyone's like, and that's shit. And the prequels are now becoming a bit more in favor because of how shit the new ones are. You know what I mean? Um,
Well, The Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out, so I was going to ask you guys, this is the first new Star Wars movie in 6.5 years. Are you guys excited for that at all?
that's what I mean. I'm a bit like, where I
Yeah,
don't want to,
I
don't
I, I agree. And I don't want to shoot it down before I've seen it, but couldn't they have come up with a better title? The
without a doubt.
Mandalorian, the Mandalorian and Grogu. Really? Come
Yeah,
on. Brain sessions, brainstorm sessions have yielded that title. I can't imagine that. But having said that, I really do like the first two seasons of The Mandalorian.
yeah,
Really good.
yeah.
And
But
and I
then the
like
third one was I don't. The third
uh,
one couldn't believe it, and like with Luke coming out on the end of the second one, it was like people were crying. There was like stuff on YouTube, like reaction videos, and he turned up, and it was like, oh my god, And then that was the second end of the second series, right?
I think so.
And then the
Yeah, Luke,
third
that was
one,
I got the ending of the second season spoiled for me. Thank you, Twitter, which is part of these nostalgics and Twitters.
Oh.
But I was watching it with someone who did not know that was going to happen.
well,
Just seeing her reaction was great. She freaked out.
and then the third season wasn't about him anymore. It was about the Mandalorian as a race, and it got kind of I wasn't sure what it was about anymore, and I actually fell asleep. I tried to watch it, but I'd sort of fall asleep on the sofa, and I didn't care anymore. You know what I mean? It's one
Mm,
of those things.
mm.
Rude, I don't know if I can say names on here, but she used to manage Lauren, Sharon.
Yeah, I know.
She sold all of her stuff. She got rid of all of
Oh,
her stuff. Yeah, she's like, I'm done with this. I'm selling all of it. I don't care anymore. She got rid of all of it.
Wow.
Yeah, she's lost
wow.
faith completely. Yeah, yeah. So,
Well, that's what I always said, that the original trilogy, I'm from 76, I'm turning 50 next month, so the original trilogy would always be my
mm,
Bible or whatever. It will be in my DNA. And I've always felt that every new movie, whether it's a sequel or new series, that's bonus. So either I like it, like the
mm,
first two seasons of The Mandalorian,
mm.
Rogue One, awesome. Andor, the series,
Right. Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah.
And then there are some series that I don't
Yeah.
like, and in my mind, I can park them and never watch them ever again. But to start hating Star Wars over that, no, that's not okay.
Have you seen some of the stuff that's on YouTube? There's some AI stuff that people are putting together,
The
and
Untold series, I
yeah,
believe
and
it.
it's getting better and better with the. I mean, I know people have split opinions about the use of AI and stuff,
Mm,
but
Yeah.
you can tell it's getting better, and the characters are moving better. And the development of AI as it kind of gets better is producing better clips of this stuff. and people were making what they want to see. It's a quite an interesting thing, with Anakin and as Darth Vader and Luke and stuff. They're just saying, well, we're going to make what we want to see, and some of it's like amazing stuff. It might not be spot on, but the storylines and all that stuff is really good stuff.
Well, what's interesting is you're talking about all these memes happening, and that says that a lot of fans want something different. I finally started watching Ashoka because I kind of stopped into the beginning of the Mandalorian season 3, and like it just feels like I think they're using a lot of sort of standard plot devices now and things that you've seen before. And yet at the same time, for a lot of Star Wars fans, they just go back to the originals. I mean, how often do you guys actually watch the original trilogy or watch the prequel trilogy or visit Rogue One, which I actually really liked?
Hmm. Yeah, that depends. With me, it goes in ups and downs, you know. There are months that I watch one of the three movies once a week, and then I maybe 6 months nothing. Um, I'm really in the mood to rewatch Andor now that I'm thinking of it. But
That was
in fact,
really
we were
good.
talking. Yeah, I really liked it. We were talking about the prequels. Richie, you said that a lot of people start to appreciate the prequels because of how shit the sequels are.
Mm.
And last year, Phantom Menace was in the movie theaters again, I believe, because it was a 30th anniversary or 25th. I don't remember, but
Okay.
I have a group of friends who are a bit younger than me, and they all wanted to go. So I said, "Yeah, sure, I'm going to join you for the, the social element, not so much
Mm.
because I really want to watch that movie." But what I noticed was that there was even with the Phantom Menace a nostalgic element to it.
Mhm.
And I never expected that. I was like, "Oh man, this movie is actually not as bad as I remembered. I really enjoyed it." So the same with music for me, nostalgia and remembering that time of your life, and brings back other memories. That's always very important,
Yeah.
and that's something that takes time, obviously. But apparently, the Phantom Menace has had enough time for those, yeah, emotions and feelings for me to come to my brain.
It's funny as well, like you said, Ruud, with music. It's like when your favorite band puts a record. You've got like a legendary band that is putting a record out. You want it to be the same because you love the band. But if they put the same record out, you're kind of disappointed because it's that you wanted something different. So you know what I mean? If they put a new Star Wars movie
Absolutely.
out that was the same, you say, "Oh, they're not doing anything new." But then you're gonna be pissed whatever they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that was the Force Awakens was basically a rehash of A New Hope.
Mm.
But it was kind of fun. It was still kind of
Oh,
fun.
I enjoyed
Yeah,
it
yeah.
definitely, and then
I
you had the Last Jedi, which was completely different.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
kind of actually I like The Last Jedi, even though I think it had a lot of flaws. And the ending, they didn't really have a hanger ending, which was a problem for me. They should have doubled down and kept going that way rather than what they did with Rise of Skywalker, which is then to try to appease people. It's like because they have multiple generations of fans now, I don't think J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy really knew what to do.
Mm.
Like I have a friend, her son is probably close to 30, around 30 now, and his favorite character is Anakin. He loves the prequel trilogy. So, I mean, obviously, Richie, you grew up at a different time. Both of you did, but like Richie are, like at least probably 15 years younger than me, so or something like that. So I think, or at least 12. But I know that you grew up with a different experience with that, and then there's kids that got the prequel trilogy first, so they like that. Um, and then you have the old fans who don't like it if it gets too political, like Rogue One or
The fun, if I may interrupt, because what I was thinking of, you were saying that different
yeah.
generations like things. I used to teach younger kids, and the Star Wars fans in that generation, they all love Jar Jar Binks,
Mm.
whereas I'm not the
Ugh.
biggest fan. I'm not the biggest fan of Jar Jar Binks, but I was 7 when Return of Jedi came out, and I love the Ewoks.
Mm.
But I can
Mhm.
imagine that the people who were 20 then, that they were like, what? Bunch of
Yeah.
teddy bears destroying the empire. So it's all also a little bit how your
Yeah.
own brain, how old you are, I guess, how your own brain is working at that moment.
Well,
Yeah.
how old were you guys when you started collecting Star Wars stuff? And
As,
what are
l-
like the favorite things you collected over the years?
as long as I can remember, apparently I was 4. I hadn't even seen a movie. I didn't even know what Star Wars was. And we were at the local toy store. And of course, it was 1980. So Empire, maybe Empire had just been released. I don't remember. But
Okay.
apparently, all those toy stores were filled with Star Wars toys. And I wanted a stormtrooper. I pointed with my finger, Mom, I want that stormtrooper. I want that action figure. And my mom was like, well, why? What is that? She didn't know, but I was very clear. I wanted that stormtrooper action figure. And since that moment, my parents always knew what to get me for my birthday, for Christmas, for whatever. And that's when I collected as a kid to play with. Then I was 14, started to play guitar. Star Wars was old news because there was nothing going on. It was 1990, so nothing was happening. So everything went up in the attic. Fortunately, my parents didn't sell everything, so I still have all my childhood toys.
Oh, great.
And yeah, that's so awesome. When my house burns down, I will save my cat first, and then I will grab all my action figures and and save those. And then the collecting, the displaying collecting that started, I don't remember, 15 years or 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago, I would say.
And I think you had a lot of stuff and you got rid of some things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, at one point I watched this Netflix documentary about minimalism and about the things that you really want in your life. And that's when I went up into my attic, because my attic is where my Star Wars toys are. And I was like, do I really want this? If I will lose this, or this one gets stolen, or if whatever, for some reason, would I buy it again? And if the answer would be no, I would sell it. So I sold about 50% of everything that I owned, which ironically made my collection more complete, because everything that I have now is like, oh yeah, this is really great. And I don't even have that much anymore, but the stuff that I have is really has a story and has a again the nostalgic connection to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a few of those mint on card figures, and sometimes I still remember, oh yeah, that's when I got my swimming diploma or whatever, that
Mm.
the moment when I received that toy. That's great.
Yeah, you've got like moments attached to them when stuff happens throughout your life. That's
Exactly.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
That's like me with comic books. I remember when I got that.
Mm.
And there's some toys I have. I have a huge comic book collection. So, now, Richie, what about you? When did you start collecting stuff?
Well, like Ruud, I had stuff when I was early, like when I was young, but it was stuff that was passed down from older cousins and stuff. 5, 6 years older than me were into the films when they were young, and now we're too old to kind of. It wasn't cool for them anymore. They were, you know, maybe 10 years old, 11 years old, didn't want to play with that stuff anymore. So I got it. Um, but then I've started kind of collecting stuff, but I wouldn't collect a lot. It used to be just I've still got some stuff, but maybe 20 years ago, maybe. And then it was kind of the bigger figures, the lightsaber replicas and stuff like that. Um, and then I remember Master Replicas.
Mm.
Do you remember those? And then they lost the license with Lucasfilm. And if you look at, I mean, I remember 20 years ago looking at that stuff, and a Boba Fett blaster was maybe 299 pounds. The lightsabers were a couple of £100 or whatever. Maybe like 400 pounds for a lightsaber. You look at them now because they lost the license. 20 years later, they're thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? It's like they've all gone through the roof. So if anyone's got any of that stuff from back in the day, that's worth a bit of money. Um, but
You
then,
mentioned Boba Fett Donald Duck too, didn't you? I think at one point.
What?
yeah, there was I went to Disney. It was probably around 2013, 2014. When did Disney take over? Was it around that time?
I mean, the sequel trilogy came
12,
out in
I think.
2015, right?
I
So it's
th
probably a couple years before that.
I think
Okay.
George Lucas sold it in 2012, if I'm
So
Okay.
not
that's
mistaken.
probably what it was then. It's probably a new thing that they did. and they did a Donald Duck in Boba Fett armor, just like a little statue thing. And it was pretty cool. I still got that. Yeah, I've still got a few things, but I kind of stopped after the pretty soon after that, really. When the Disney stuff came out, I was like, nah. It's funny, if it's funny how things happen. If the sequel trilogy had been different, it would have affected my spending money on merch differently. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
I think that goes for a lot of people. People of a certain age with, if you've got what do they call it? Expendable income.
Mm.
It would, certain age, they grew up with the movies. If it was different, they've got a big market there. But if it goes wrong, they've lost a big part of the market because the only people they've got then are the younger generation who maybe don't have that expendable income to spend on stuff and don't have the nostalgia yet. Maybe they do now, Rude, as you said, with the prequels. Maybe they're the next ones that have come into their nostalgia. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, as a result, I didn't really pick it back up. I've got like aliens. There's an alien head here. I don't know if you can see it.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Oh
cool.
wow,
yeah. There's an
That's
alien here.
awesome.
Got some alien stuff.
nice.
Um, but
Why'd you pick that one up? You like the Xenomorphs?
that was Sideshow. I think Sideshow. I don't know if it's
Mm.
Sideshow that made it, but they definitely I got that from them. Um,
They
it's
do
funny.
great stuff.
They really do. They've got a place in California. I went there. And one of the guys reached out. We were playing a show there. One of the guys reached out, Andy Smith, I think his name was, and he said he'd love to bring us down to headquarters and show us around. So we went down there, and they've got you can film and stuff, take photos of stuff. And he said there's one room in there which you can't film or take photos. And I said, yeah, no worries. You go in, and it's an office, and there's maybe 10 desks. It's not a big office, but it's like a long, thin office. And they've made the office and like a replica of the Nostromo inside the Nostromo. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, and they've got like an you can if you don't talk, you can hear like a rumble. And it's like you're in space, like a low rumble. Um, and all the people in there, they do all the 3D modeling on the computer. Is it CAD? I don't know what it is. It's like the 3D modeling on the computers before it goes into to be made. And they're all there on the computers. And they asked Sideshow, they said, can we make our office like this? And Sideshow said, yeah, do whatever you want to do to make it a creative environment and an inspiring environment. So they did. And it's like you're walking through a corridor on the Nostromo with it's amazing, you know.
Wow.
But what an environment to work in, you can imagine. It's like, when you're in a studio, you want it to be inspiring. You've got guitars around and stuff. And it was, yeah, you couldn't take any photos and stuff, but it was a really cool thing to see.
I know
Awesome.
you did those guitar picks too, right? You had these Millennium Falcon, and I think maybe because you have your Instagram is Falcon Faulkner, right?
Yeah, the pics and stuff was Rude. I remember when I was out with Lauren, I used to have like Star Wars stuff, and it was really for I used to throw them to people. I had a Gamorrean guard on the amplifier. It was really for people to like not throw stuff at me because it was like me, I like Star Wars. It's you know what I mean, like uh, you know what I mean. And we make some pics, and that went into Priest as well. We actually had to get them licensed by Lucasfilm.
I was wondering about it because I wanted to do some Star Wars inspired pics as well, but we got the message like, no, no, we're not going to do this from
Yeah,
Intune guitar picks.
we had to get them. We had to get them licensed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had to send I think 5 of each to Lucasfilm or LucasArts, which one it was, I don't remember. And we could only make a certain amount of each one because our manager Brian, she used to work for Lucasfilm back in the day.
Really? I never knew
So
that. I
yeah,
knew
so
they
she
didn't
had a
work for them.
contact in there. She reached out to them and they said, "Yeah, you can do it, but you've got to follow these parameters." So we did. So they were super limited. Yeah, I don't have any. Um, but we did a bounty hunter edition and a ship edition. So and I think there were 6 of each.
I still
Um,
have a few of yours, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, you gave me a few. years
Well,
back.
I'll have them back then, please.
Sure.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Well, I was wondering too when I interviewed you and Rob about firepower, and Rob made the comparison. He said Judas Priest is like Star Wars. We're always battling evil.
Mm.
How much has Star Wars, either the ideology or the music, for example, has it influenced either of you in terms of songwriting, in terms of lyrics at all? Anything you've snuck in?
No, for me, no.
No, I don't think so. I think lyric stuff is usually Rob's bag anyway. So maybe for him more than me.
For
Obviously,
Elegant
him
Weapons?
being Elegant weapon is a lightsaber. That's where it comes from. An elegant weapon's from a more
Mm.
civilized age.
There
So
we
that
go.
yeah, we asked Lucas. I wanted to use the speech for an intro. Rainbow used to have the Wizard of Oz intro. It was Dorothy talking to Toto and stuff. Uh, we're over the rainbow. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then they start the thing. I wanted to have Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about the elegant weapon from more civilized age before the dark times, before the Empire, and then the song would start. But it was going to be like 100 grand or something like that to license this piece of monologue. Yeah.
Holy
So
shit.
I wonder if you could do it with AI now, with a similar voice, and it won't cost anything. Probably, I don't know the technicalities of that, but yeah. So Elegant Weapons is it's about the instruments that we play, Brian, but it's also an excuse for me to, reference Star Wars and the lightsaber.
And you did get to work with Christopher Lee, Count Dooku,
I
on
did,
was
yeah.
his last album?
It was his last one, yeah. They wanted it was a cool thing. They had some songs that were very kind of orchestra driven, and they wanted them arranged for a metal band to play. So I had to take these songs and kind of make guitar parts and drum parts and stuff like that. And it was funny. I did it. So I come up with riffs and stuff, made songs out of them. The vocals were the same. The structures were kind of the same, but it was like a metal band. And I sent them. It was about 7 or 8 songs, and they sent me an email back, and they said we want them more metal. And I was like, okay, more metal, okay. So I made them even more metal, and they went with that, which was kind of cool. But I never played on the record or anything like that. I just did the writing and arranging part of it.
Did you get to meet him at all?
I
Or was
did,
it?
yeah, I did. He was a nightmare. No, he wasn't. He was great. He was, but it was great, like talking to a guy like that who was from a different era. He had different ideas about stuff and different points of view, as you would. I think that there was a war going on in Syria at the time, and he had some opinions on that. Um, but he was just a lovely, sweet guy that had been through so much. Not only the acting but his personal life as well. It was an honor to meet him.
Rude, have you met anybody from any of the Star Wars movies or
Yeah,
shows?
at some convention, some Comic Cons, but that's not much more than just shaking a hand and saying hi. No
Anybody
real
interesting?
conf Gary Kurtz, Jeremy Bullock, Peter Mayhew, who else? The guy who plays Finn, what's
Yeah,
his
Yeah.
name? He was really nice.
John
John
Boyega.
Boyega. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Who else? Oh man, such a long time ago. Kenny Baker.
I met a few of them.
Yeah, yeah, but like I have a few autographed photos in my attic, but like I said, not much more than just shaking a hand and hey, hello, I would like to have your autograph, please. All right, have a nice day. Yeah.
I went to the Star Wars DVD junket in 2005, and I did a quick interview with Mark Hamill and with Irvin Kershner. And then right after, I walked by Barnes and Nobles, and Carrie Fisher is there doing a book reading for her
Oh,
books.
wow.
That was really trippy that day, which missed Harrison Ford, I guess, basically. Um, what would you guys like to see in upcoming Star Wars shows or movies that you think is missing from them, that's lacking, that you think maybe could get them back in a direction that might be less divisive for a lot of fans?
More nudity, especially all those weird looking aliens. No, I'm joking. It's a very good question. Um, yeah, ooh, let me think about it.
It is a tough one. Because as we said earlier, like if they change it too much,
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, everything is bonus. So,
mm.
um,
Like what would
No,
you
I
like to
like.
see on the new Les Paul that Gibson are bringing out? What we're going to change the Les,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I want it the same, but not the same. I want it, you know what I mean?
Mm.
That's the challenge with this stuff. And I mean, I really liked Rogue One, but I have a friend who was a Star Wars fan as a kid who didn't like it. He didn't think it fit the tone. I said, well, and this is the thing about Andor. Andor is dark and grim, but that's kind of what fighting fascism is like. And I feel it's almost, I say this, I could probably get in trouble saying this, but like I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans are like Kiss fans from the 70s. Like I think they still want to have that sense of being that wide-eyed child, like being dazzled by all of this. But then you start to get older and you can't just rely on nostalgia anymore. Like I like when I see a different variation on it because, how did we get here? It's exciting to watch the old movies, but at the same time, there's something deeper going on a lot of times.
You know what was with Rogue One as well? What I thought it was simple. There was a simple thing. They had to get the plans, and that was kind of it. They had to get the plans to the Death Star. We knew that they got them. Obviously, we knew that was the outcome, but they had to get the plans to the Death Star, and this is how they got them. Fucking right. Not like they had to go to there to get them and then get that and then get another thing and meet this person to get something else. And then that happened and they blew it up. And then they didn't blow it up. And then they just got this thing that was stupid because
Yeah.
get
This
the
is going to become a
fucking
meme now.
plans and
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you have
Yeah.
to do. And we went to a couple more planets. It was amazing seeing no, it wasn't Jeddah. Jeddah was cool, but what was the planet that looked like the Bahamas?
Oh,
Oh,
what we're
Scarif.
talking about.
Scarif. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, amazing seeing like different troopers and the X-wings and stuff on a planet backdrop like that. That's all you need. Krennic was great. Moff Tarkin was in it. Um, they got the thing and died.
Yeah.
Done. We saw Vader beat the shit out of everyone, which we'd
Oh,
never
that
seen
scene
before.
was great.
I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting. I don't know if anyone was expecting that, but I wasn't, and I was like, "Oh my goodness," you know. Um,
And that was a last minute addition too. I don't think they had it when Gareth Edwards, I think,
right.
direction originally that wasn't in the script. They added it in, I think.
And
Oh,
then
really?
the worst thing people could say was Vader's voice sounded different because he's an older man. Who fucking cares? Like, first of all, if that's all you're going to complain about, it, whatever. But that was it. Get the thing, and they had a few things along the way. What's his name? Saw Gerrera was introduced. Great. Introduced just enough characters. Didn't go overboard. I'm stressing the point, but it was simple. Um, that's all you need to do,
Yeah.
in my mind.
It's basically about that one sentence in that opening scroll of A New Hope.
Hmm.
The,
Yeah.
the rebels got the plans, blah blah blah. I don't exactly know what it says in those yellow letters, even though that I've seen them more than 100 times.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
but
everybody
that was
knows what
what
it
the
is.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that was what the movie was about, and that was great.
Yeah.
Trying to
So,
think of
so, so me and Rude have just come up with what Lucasfilm need to do. So if you want to send this video, Brian, to them, we're also up for
A
percentage,
cameo.
well, a cameo and percentage of the merch. And you can have a commission on that, Brian, if you like. And that's all we need to do. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
well, I know my friend Randy Falk at NECA had made you an action figure, Richie.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Right. So if either of you could have your own Star Wars action figure made by NECA, what would you like to be?
For me, Stormtrooper. That's still for me the most iconic character. That was the first action figure that I chose in the toy store with my mom when I was 4. I own a Stormtrooper outfit. Yeah, it's maybe very simple, but that would be
Iconic,
my
as you said.
choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
yeah.
iconic. But we wouldn't know it was you, though.
With the helmet off, buckets off.
Was it Daniel Craig that was
Yeah,
in
he
The
was in. I
Force
was about to
Awakens
bring that up. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
he was in The Force Awakens.
yeah,
in the interrogation scene?
Yeah,
But
I think Rude likes the anonymity.
so he says anyway. I mean, anyone could say that,
yeah.
couldn't they? We don't know. Um, I'd like
But
to be
we
in like Jabba's tower, one of the scumbags in Jabba's tower, trying to,
Ooh.
get one of the Twi'leks or something to get me a drink or something like that.
So you want to be a rogue.
Yeah, I'm already a scumbag. I'm already halfway there. So,
Classic Richie. Well, we were talking about fixing us a cameo. Remember that,
yeah,
Richie? Like
yeah,
before episode 8 came out even. Unfortunately, that never happened, but there are still Star Wars projects on the horizon, so we never know what will happen. Oh
exactly. Yeah.
man, that would be so great.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the band Malice had a song called Against the Empire. I remember that being specifically about Star Wars. Have you heard any metal songs or other songs about Star Wars that you really like?
Mm.
Good question.
I think there was this one-man band project called Yogi, like 25 years ago already, 20 years ago, and a bit prog music, and he had all kinds of Star Wars themed songs. But for the rest,
There are a
yeah.
lot of Star Wars cover bands that are metal bands. Like I think there's one band that dresses, they have their singers like Darth Vader, they have a bunch of different people, or they have a lot of the bounty hunters. There's a few of them out there that cover Star Wars songs, or they write songs about Star Wars.
Yeah, another one you mean, another one you're referring to. Yeah, and they play like a heavy metal versions of Star Wars tunes. It's pretty cool. I'm just trying to think. I can't really think of any that I know are about Star Wars stuff, Star Wars things. Maybe they are. Maybe there's more than we know, and they're just kind of um, like subtle references or something.
Finally, what what is it about Star Wars that inspires such fandom and bonds you guys? I mean, obviously that it helps cement your friendship. What is it about something that came from our childhoods that still keeps you connected that way?
You mentioned Kiss earlier on, Brian. It's like bands as well, or movies, and bands. Parts, as Ruud said as well, parts of our lives that we remember because of the movies and the songs that we attach to them. Um, and then you share that memory with someone else. Oh, they know it too. They know that band or they know the movie as well, and we can talk about that. And we have a common interest and we share common memories and stuff. I think that's all part of it. Um,
Also because Star Wars back then wasn't so mainstream as it is now. So it was still, I wouldn't say a niche,
mm.
but it wasn't for everyone. Like when I became an Iron Maiden fan, Maiden is huge now, and they were already pretty big back then. But still, the kid with the denim jacket and the Iron Maiden patch on it, there's one. So yeah, you could bond over and be a bit special. Not that I'm a person who wants to be special, but maybe it's a little bit that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a member of your tribe, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah, I think so.
I
Mm.
think you said earlier, it shares a common thing with music. You like the same, but like Maiden, you're members of the same tribe and like the same things. But then I think with Star Wars as well, it's the stories, the messages, the good and evil, the costumes, the 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 fantasy element and everything like that. And it's awesome, isn't it? And when I say awesome, I mean awesome. It's like it brings awe, when you watch those things as a kid. Jabba and Darth Vader and Boba Fett, and these things are fantastical when they stay with you forever. And I think no matter what age you are, you carry them with you forever. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
I
And I
think it's
think, yeah, I think that's also one of the things that Brian said, that now at our age, that awe, that is very difficult to achieve with
for
new
sure.
music. I'm not that easily impressed anymore with new music.
Mhm.
I sound like an old fart when I say this, but also with movies and Star Wars, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool, but not that
Mm.
enthusiastic kid that I was in the 80s. But I don't think you should expect that either. You just grow older and yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah. No, I'd agree.
But I think yeah, we want to have that. I think we want to it. I think it flashes us back to when we felt the world was simpler.
Hmm.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe. All of those things, I think, all of those reasons. And hopefully, as you said, Brian, the younger generation will feel the same about their generation of Star Wars when they get to this age, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an ongoing thing, isn't it? It's the generation after generation, hopefully, like music, like Maiden fans and Priest fans, and the next generation of that fan. You know, the legend lives on.
Exactly.